less rare, Isaac started before interrupting the thought. Or Aiden, for that matter. Have you ever met another Aiden? Oh, gods, now it started in my head. Poor me, a measly painter with a coven of precious jewels. A snort escaped me. I backed up to the couch and collapsed into the cushions. Oh, fuck you, I said, the words entirely half-hearted. Isaac grinned at that, prowling forward like a cat. He pushed my shoulders back and I grunted as he landed roughly in my lap, knees around my sides. He kissed me hard on the mouth and I let him hear my groan of relief in exchange for the distraction. Everyone at the concert will know how lucky we are to have found Joanna. Isaac purred against my lips. Just as, while we listen to him play, they will know how lucky we are that Aiden waited for us. Just as you and I both know how lucky we are to have each other. That's very sweet, I said, a smile growing wider at the smug fullness in his cheeks. Yes, well, if I hear you mention a single hint of insecurity in front of Joanna tonight, I will be considerably less sweet, Isaac said, before taking another hard kiss, his teeth snagging over my bottom lip. Honestly, the pair of you. She should be back by now, I said, glancing out the window. Has she written? He asked. I hummed, shifting to reach my back pocket, and Isaac slid off my lap to my side. I pulled a small notebook out, the leather cover impressed with the 4-pointed knot sigil for coven. They had been her idea, a set of 4 notebooks, one for each of us. She'd written on the insides, "For every word written, every word appears inside," rotating the words across each of the 4 notebooks, so the inside cover of mine said, "Every word," in her spiky script. And it worked. We had a little way of communicating with each other, like students passing notes throughout the class time. I flipped past pages of our handwriting, questions about meals mixed in with tantalizingly intimate promises. Been captured. I coughed on air and Isaac leaned over to read the page, laughing. By Hildy, no ransom yet, please send help, but not before 6:30 this evening. And then a little lopsided heart. If Hildy has her, then we'd better spruce up, Isaac said, patting my chest and rising up from the couch. He held his hand out. Come and shower with me. Take the edge off. I stood up at that. The suggestion was enough to chase away any lingering nerves. But I preferred Isaac's more hands-on methods if he was offering them. Isaac and I, dressed fine enough to impress even Aiden, mostly in clothes he'd purchased for us as gifts, crossed the street and made our way to Willard's coven home. Our breath filled the air in white puffs and the last falling leaves before winter crunched under our feet. I'd always found it interesting that with coven mates like Bryce Gast and Hildy Samantha, the group had taken Gwendolyn Willard's name. The university knew what a prize they had in their head librarian, but in most circles the name was unknown, missing the social weight of the other witches in the family. Even Ito, loath as I was to admit it, was a fairly familiar character. Respected, believe it or not. I understood it a little better now. When I'd found Aiden and Isaac, I'd looked forward to throwing over Pike for king. Aiden's name had been the obvious choice. Now I wondered what he might think of our coven taking Joanna's last name. Not that she had offered it, not that she was ready to think about marriages and coven names. Not that she was likely to agree, given her habit of shying away from any recognition. But I liked the idea of being known by her name. Isaac knocked on the door and Bryce opened it as if they'd been waiting for us. "You're in trouble," they said ominously, one pale eyebrow arched and sharp like a razor. "How do they look?" Hildy called from deeper in the house. "Tasty," Bryce said, stepping aside to allow us entry. "You look very elegant," Isaac answered. He'd taken Bryce's word as a compliment. I thought it might have been a threat. "Yes," Bryce said, smoothing a hand down the intricately embroidered overcoat that framed their thin limbs. The black fabric was covered in green and russet feathers and talons, birds swarming and devouring themselves down to where the hem skimmed the floor. It was a tight fit, buttoned down to Bryce's narrow waist and flaring out to reveal pants that clung and glimmered like scales. "Like a predator," I added, and Bryce grinned widely at that. "Don't flirt," they warned.